When I was 14 years old, I was doing nothing but push-ups, dips, and pull-ups, and they built my physique quite well. 7 years later, I mastered calisthenics more and more and more, and learned that I only need about 6 exercises to completely transform my chest and my back. And if you do this, you will experience the same type of results that I have experienced, because it's all about the progression. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you the 6 exercises and why you should use them to build your chest and back. And trust me, if you copy this, you will get jacked. So you have to understand, when I was 14 years old, I didn't do anything but push-ups, pull-ups, and dips, and I did variations of those, and it built my physique pretty good. After a little while, I definitely got stagnated because I was just adding reps upon reps upon reps, which I still love those high rep sessions. I still do them from time to time. I still have about 4 high rep sessions or 3 high rep sessions during the week that I do to mix in with my low volume routine to be able to get more jacked and build more endurance and just become more durable for training in general. But something that I noticed of me just doing push-ups, pull-ups, and dips, that I was lagging something. First off, my hypertrophy potential was a little bit limited because I was just working on bars, which is going to be chapter number 1, the chest game changer. And it's why you need to use rings in your training sessions to be able to elevate your chest gains to the next level. So the 3 exercises that I'm going to explain to you that actually transformed my chest from already having a very good chest, because my chest genetics are quite elite, right? And after a little while, I even built it more. So imagine for you what this could actually do for you. If you don't have good genetics in your chest, or you do have them, whatever it is, whatever stage you in, you can build your chest more and more and more with these 3 exercises. And if you want to use the exact same system that I use with the exact same exercises that I have explained to build muscle with it, go to the top link in the description and learn how to progress in calisthenics to get jacked with it. If you want to build a solid ass physique, if you want to actually look jacked and stop looking skinny, then the top link in the description is exactly what you need. Attend the weekly live calls, ask me questions so that you can actually progress, and I'll see you inside. So the first one is going to be weighted ring dips. Now, specifically weighted deep ring dips. You want to go as deep as you physically can with the weight that is hanging in between your legs, right? So listen, if you have heavy weight and you actually want to progress a little more with weight, don't go as deep. Be safe, be healthy, be smart about how deep you're going, be smart about your range of motion and stuff like that. But the weighted dip, and especially the ring version, is one of the greatest exercises that you can do for your chest. It is also called the upper body squat, the squat of the upper body. It is literally that good of an exercise. If you skip this exercise, you will understand why some people who do dips will always be bigger than you and also stronger. The thing about weighted dips is we can change it so much to the point where there's nothing that it's lagging in. When we take a look at the weighted ring dip, we can change the position of our hands to be able to make the chest exercise a little bit easier for ourselves or tougher for ourselves, depending on how experienced you actually are, right? So for example, let's say we have the normal plain weighted ring dip. The first thing that I want you to get under control is the stability aspect. If you start doing this, don't use weights yet. And of course, yes, I'm saying the weighted dip, but after a little while that comes, right? We can now stick to body weight if we actually are on that level. If you were more on the beginner side of things, just stick to the normal body weight dip and you can do it that way. Go all the way down until you feel a very deep stretch in your chest, and then explode back up by putting your rings a little bit more closer together, not fully touching them, there's no need for that, but a little bit more up so that we can get more of a squeeze in our chest. And the moment when you go down, you want to fully tuck your elbows in while leaning forward and letting your shoulders drop so that you can get a real deep stretch on your chest. Trust me, this exercise has been leaving me with DOMs every single day, basically meaning soreness every single day when I did them. And it's literally the best vertical chest pressing exercise there is out there. So if you want to be able to progress with it, then the first thing that I want you to do is focus on stability. Now, the second thing that I want you to focus on in order to progress with it is learning how to add reps. Everybody is always saying 8 to 12 is a magic number or whatever. In my opinion, there is no magic number. If you learn how to go to failure, if you learn how to add reps and extend your pain barrier, then you'll be able to build muscle, even if it's a 20, 30, or 40 rep range. And of course, with the range, you're probably not going to be able to do that. I'm not even able to do that. So what I want you to do instead is focus on about 6 in between 20, depending on your level. Let's say you do about 10 reps. Focus on the negative aspect of the dip and explode back up in the form that I just explained to you, and learn how to just add reps till you're able to do about 15 to 20 reps body weight ring dips. Once you've been able to do that, then the third step is going to be adding weights. This is now the stage where you're going to be in that you're going to be progressing the fastest. I swear, with the moment when I started adding weight to my weighted dip, to my ring dip, I started to gain so much muscle, so much soreness, so much strength, because my body was just being shocked constantly by me, first of all, sitting on the rings, and second off, adding weight to it week upon week upon week. And also, I was making the exercises more difficult in the range of motion and in the tempo. There was a lot of days where I was still kind of feeling like I was doing the exercises too fast. Once I changed that, I started to control it better and I started to get stronger in the overall exercise. So when you start to do that, you will start to notice the same differences. So now let's get into the second exercise, and it's going to be the weighted ring push-up. Now, this is the exact same thing. There's only a couple of form changes, of course, that we have to understand when it comes to the weighted ring push-up. And that's because it is a very different exercise. It's kind of the same as in progression-wise. First, we want to learn how to stabilize it. Then we want to learn how to add reps. Then we want to learn how to add weight. But when you're first starting to do this exercise, I don't even want you to focus on weighted ring push-ups because you don't really need to do those. Let's say you've already been doing weighted ring dips. After a little while, bro, trust me, you don't even want to be doing weighted ring push-ups. You don't even want to be doing that shit. You can do some normal ring push-ups as you see me doing right here. Controlled. Stretch your chest on the bottom for about a second. Explode back up. Put your rings together and do it all over again for about 6 to 15 reps in between there. Trust me, you will see a crazy difference in your chest in about 4 months if you do this consistently and if you progressively overload in the 3 main pillars of progression in calisthenics: range of motion, variations, and tempo. If you change these 3 things, you will start to gain muscle insanely quickly. Now, you heard me mentioning variations. What do I mean with variations? Well, when you have a weighted push-up, for example, there's a lot of variation that we can do. We have, for example, the normal one, but we also have the ring fly, which is a push-up and a fly kind of merged together, which is used to get a deeper stretch on your chest, which is absolutely amazing. And I use it only body weight. I've never done this weighted. It's kind of dangerous weighted for your shoulders, to be very honest with you. So body weight, and I use this after I've done all my pushing exercises, my heavy pushing exercises, and I use this as like a finisher to isolate. It's not really isolation, but to kind of isolate my chest, and it mimics like a fly in the gym, right? And that is exactly why I do it. Then we have a second variation, and that's decline. So basically just changing how high your feet are up. So it could be fully at the ground to where you're kind of in an incline, but it could also be fully elevated, is higher than your head, and you're in this decline formation to where you're hitting the upper chest. Absolutely amazing exercise. And then we're going to move on to the third and final chest exercise. And that is going to be the deficit normal push-ups, not on the rings. So the deficit normal push-up is basically the exercise that you need for that stretch component. Because we already have 2 exercises that are very instability based, right? Because with the rings, we don't have a lot of stability. We have to create the stability in order to do it correctly. That's the beautiful thing about rings. But sometimes for your body to get kind of a break from the instability factor, we want to put some stability back in there and then focus fully on our chest and not no instability issue. So then the deficit push-ups comes in on just bars or boxes, depending on what you have at home or in the gym. Basically, the purpose of this is that the ground is not limiting us no more to how deep we can go. When the ground is not limiting you no more to how deep you can go, you're basically allowing it to stretch deeper and deeper and deeper. And what happens when you stretch it deeper and deeper and deeper? Hypertrophy get activated more and more and more because our bodies react very well to a stretched position. Let's take a look at gymnasts, for example. Gymnasts are very big. They're jacked, right? Especially their biceps. Why are they so jacked though? A lot of people say, yeah, that's because they do a lot of chin-ups and dips and blah, blah. Of course, that's also the case. The reason why they're so jacked is because of one very important component, and that is the stretched under tension factor. That's what I like to call it. Stretched under tension. When you do a iron cross, planche, Maltese, back lever, the exercise that these guys do all of the times. Yes, I do believe that if you just focus on these exercises, you will not build as great of a physique comparing just focusing on reps with stretches. But these exercises are heavily based on stretching the biceps under tension. That's why their biceps are so damn huge. Now, of course, this is not about biceps, but we can do this for every single muscle. Every single one of these exercises that I'm explaining here for chest and also for back that we're about to get into, I have explained in the Jacked by Calisthenics Blueprint, where I'm literally going to be teaching you how to take these exercises, put them into an effective routine that you can use weekly, and how to eventually progress with it so that you never leave gains on the table. So if you're interested in that, with a full 30 module course that is actually going to teach you how to go from skinny to jacked, then the top link in the description is exactly where you should be. I'll see you inside very soon. So when we have chest exercises, for example, on rings or boxes or chairs, to where the ground is not limiting us to how deep we can go, so the ground doesn't hit our chest, and we can go deeper, that means that our chest is going to be stretched under tension more and more and more, which is going to result in more muscle gain. Our muscles react very heavily on that. So when you prioritize that, and you prioritize that deep stretch, and you prioritize sitting in that deep stretch and being in pain in it, literally, and then exploding back up and squeezing and then going down slowly again, you're starting to gain muscle insanely quick. As you can see, my chest is pretty developed, right? Chest is pretty developed, arms are everything is pretty developed. The reason why it is because I have started to prioritize that more and more and more. Back in the day, I was not doing that at all. So if you do that right now, you will already be ahead of me, bro. Now let's move on to the back section of today's video. So it's basically going to be 3 exercises that you need to use for your back. So let's get into the first one, and it's a very important one. It is the wide grip ring pull-up. The wide grip ring pull-up is an exercise that is, in my opinion, the most reliable for your back. You can never go wrong with pull-ups in general, I believe. But there's something about that wide grip on the rings that just destroys, it demolishes your back every single time you do it. Every single time I do it, and I really go hard on it, the next day, sore. Every time. Every single time I find a way to progress in it, next day, sore. Other exercises, I don't really have that anymore because I'm used to them. I've been doing them for a while, but this exercise, I've been also doing it for a while, and I've also been used to them, but they still get me jacked and sore. Every single time they get me sore. That's why you should always prioritize this exercise. This is probably going to be the same for you. When I started to introduce this exercise to my boy Matthias, he was also working out with me for quite some time still. When he started doing this exercise with me, bro, his back also very sore. He was like, damn, this exercise feels crazy in my lats. And that's because that squeeze up top, fully getting your lats inside, literally inside of your elbows like that, is so hypertrophic. It is insane. And the stretch at the bottom is also crazy when you fully lower it and you put your heads in your traps and you try to really prioritize opening up your back fully and then squeezing it together. Fucking beautiful, phenomenal. Then the second exercise is going to be ring chin-ups. Now the ring chin-up is, in my opinion, actually a very reliable back exercise and not only a very reliable bicep exercise. Most people, they automatically think, okay, everything that has to do with chin-up is going to be more back. But bro, be honest with yourself. Do you still think that a chin-up, that is, of course it's a bicep exercise, of course it works your bicep, but do you still think that your back is not more engaged than your biceps? Of course it is. It's a pull-up. And if you don't agree with that, that means that you mean to tell me that a pull-up variation, your biceps are lifting 100% of your body weight? Of course they're not. So your back is still prioritized more than your biceps, but your biceps are helping a bit more. But that doesn't matter. The beautiful thing about ring chin-ups is that we can rotate the rings forward or pronated when we hang fully in a dead hang. But when we rotate up again, we can rotate it inwards and then squeeze our back more than with a pronated grip. You see, with a pronated grip, we need to go a little bit wider because if we go more inside, then we're not even going to be able to get our bodies in between our arms because it's just too close. It doesn't fit. But with chin-ups, we can actually do that because our elbows now allow that. This is more of a natural motion for our bodies. So when you do that consistently with adding weight upon it and progressively overload within the weight, then you're going to gain muscle with that as well. And I actually believe that biceps sometimes even are greater for your back on bars, especially on bars, than normal pull-ups. And the reason why I believe that is because if you want to go all the way chin over the bar, you can't just stop right here and then do this, because then you're not going to be feeling shit in your back. But with pull-ups, you can do that and you can feel shit in your back. But with chin-ups, if you really want to get a deep squeeze in your back, you want to be pulling it all the way to the point where your elbows are literally right here, and your fists are literally touching your chest and your chest is basically touching the bar. That's how advanced the chin up actually is. A lot of people can do chin ups in the beginning stages more because their biceps are helping. But after you become advanced and you prioritize pull-ups more, which are still more important in my opinion, then chin ups become extremely difficult and kind of more difficult than pull-ups, and they will fire up your back more. And also, the stretch is more with the chin up. And you know why that is also? Because the moment when you turn your wrist inward, so supinated, chin up grip, this is harder for the back than this. If you try this at home right now with me, by the way, do a pronated grip like this, put it all the way up, you will start to feel that, yeah, you have a pretty good back stretch right here. But if you do it like this and then you do it like this, it becomes more because it's just more difficult for the body to do that. So the stretch at the bottom is way more intense. And that's what I've noticed when I first started to implement chin-ups in my routine. I couldn't even do them properly. I was like, holy shit, my back is way more fired up than normal pull-ups. And that's because of that chin-up grip. It helps your back squeeze more and stretch more. So then we have the last variation or the last back exercise, and that's going to be ring rows. Now, any variation of ring rows will get the job done. The only thing that I want you to do is add in a body weight horizontal row into your routine to be able to get that thickness and strength going of the back. Because a lot of the times we prioritize, especially us calisthenics athletes, we prioritize vertical pull-ups and vertical pulling exercises a little bit too much most of the time than horizontal exercises. And that is because they are more fun. I hate rows. Everything about rows I don't like, but I love pull-ups. Pull-ups feel badass. They feel good. My feet are off the ground. I feel like I'm flying. But rows, they're boring, bro. I don't like doing shit. But when it comes to doing rows on, for example, an elevated surface or doing rows on a whatever type of surface, it could be, you know, elevating it very high so that you have this decline type of formation to the point where you're really getting a deep squeeze on your back, or you could actually make them easier for yourself, put your feet on the ground, put the rings quite high, and just ring towards your chest like this. And that way you're gonna get more of that upper back. So you can change this exercise to targeting the rear delts, targeting your upper back, targeting your lower lats. And that way you can actually choose which variation you need to do. So you can literally focus on each and every single back muscle group by just changing the angle of the row. Add it in, and trust me, your back will look better than if you only focus on pull-ups. That's why I have started to implement it as well, to get more of a rounded, overall better looking back. So implement these 6 exercises, and if you progress with them every single week, you could change your physique completely. If you want to actually be able to do that, top link in the description, that's where you should be. I'll help you personally throughout the whole journey of you going from a beginner skinny, intermediate skinny calisthenics athlete to being an advanced, jacked, good looking aesthetic calisthenics athlete. So if you want to be able to do that, I'll see you inside. And as always, watch this video right here. I think it's a very valuable video for you. And I'll see you in 2 days. 2 days. It's always 2 days. Why am I still questioning that shit? I post every other day. Anyways, I'll see you in 2 days. Watch this video right here. Until next time.